In this lesson, we are going to look at some miscellaneous words. So these are words that don't fit into the other categories, but that you still need to know. First, we're going to look at words that you can use to express uncertainty. So these particular vocab terms are seems to, appears to, and may. So these are all ways to express uncertainty. Uncertainty is when you are saying something that you believe to be true, but that you don't know for sure, or that you think maybe could be the case, but maybe not. And they are useful for picture description because they allow you to speculate about an image, which is a key part of describing images for the DET. So here are 3 example sentences to show you how you can use each of these terms. So there is snow on the ground, so it seems to be winter. There is snow on the ground, so it appears to be winter. There is snow on the ground, so it may be winter. So all 3 of these sentences mean exactly the same thing. No one is more sophisticated than the other, so just remember which one is easiest for you to remember. But the important thing to note is that the grammar for these terms is a little different. Okay, I'm going to give you some example sentences for these words so that you can see how they're used. But you should know that the grammar with seems and appears to and may is quite complex. These are what are called modal verbs in English, which take a lot of work to really master. So we're just scratching the surface here, but I at least wanted to give you examples of how to use them correctly. And I would encourage you, as you are reading English, to pay attention to how these verbs are used so that you can continue to learn the patterns and use them correctly when you are writing or speaking. So for seems to, you could have, it seems to be winter. There seem to be many people inside. She seems happy. It seems cold. So the 2 things to note with seems to: 1, sometimes you will have to be, and sometimes you won't. I won't go into when you have to be and when you don't, because again, the grammar is quite complex. But just know that sometimes you have it and sometimes you don't. So pay attention to that as you are reading English to learn that pattern. The other thing to not forget about is seem is a verb. So you need to conjugate it like other verbs. So sometimes it's seem and sometimes it is seems. Just like any other verb in English, you have to remember to use the right conjugation. Appears. So appears to be winter. There appears to be many people inside. She appears happy. It appears cold. So, seems to and appears, they have very similar grammar, almost the same. So that's why all of these sentences you can safely replace seem or seems with appears or appear. So for the purposes of picture description, you can really think of these 2 as direct synonyms. May has a little bit different vocabulary. So it may be winter. She may be happy. It may be cold. The key thing to note is you will never have it may to be winter, for example. So you won't have may plus to be, unlike seems to and appears. Okay, so these words which express uncertainty are very useful for picture description, but they are complicated, and so the likelihood that you make a mistake is higher than for the other vocabulary that we've looked at in this course. So just be careful with these words and make sure that you practice with them and know how to use them confidently. Okay, next is structure. So, for example, this image depicts a black metal structure. Perhaps it is a place to stand for a magnificent view. So I don't know what to call this thing, so I'm going to use a general term like structure. You may be tempted to use the word thing to describe this structure. structure, but you will get more points by using structure. The reason is that thing is a very general word. Structure is more specific. Structure refers to something that is built. So anytime you see a thing like this that was built, but you don't know the word for it, I don't know the word for it, you can use structure instead. Okay, objects. This is another useful general word. So in this image, we can see a table with various objects on top. There seems to be 2 vases, a bowl, a sign, and some papers with information. So objects is another general word, but it refers to small things that you can hold in your hand. So it's a little bit better than saying things. Again, because things is so general, it doesn't help convey any kind of specific idea that somebody could imagine when you are describing an image. Next is pattern. For example, this image shows a building with tile walls and a beautiful pattern. So pattern means something that is repeating. So in this case, the tile is constructing this pattern across the walls. So patterns can appear in all types of images in all cases. So it's a very useful word to describe images. Next is intricate. This is a nice word to pair with pattern. This image shows a building with tile walls in an intricate pattern. So intricate means sophisticated, complex. So this pattern here, has many lines. It takes a minute to really see the pattern. It's not very simple. So we can use intricate. Designs. For example, this building has colorful designs. So designs refers to drawing or painting, but in this case, it's on a wall. So if you say a painting, it's a little confusing because usually a painting is inside of a frame. So designs are nice because if you have a cup, for example, and it's painted with interesting colors, you can talk about the design or the designs on the cup. Next is I can make out. In this image, I can make out 3 gray chairs behind some plants. So I can make out is a way to say I see, but it is difficult. So in this image, I can see 3 gray chairs, but I have to pause for a second and look past these plants to really be sure that I see 3 gray chairs. So I can make out is a nice way to express that, yes, I can see something, but it is difficult. That was a brief lesson with some additional words that didn't fit into the other categories, but that I still wanted you to have because I think they're very useful for picture description.